Did you hear about the ass whooping bill for schools now? Trump wanted to close the Department of Education, but then even 2 weeks later, he's passing bills so they can whip your kid's ass in school. That's awesome. So here's how it really goes, though. So if corporal punishment is still allowed in your state, they're definitely allowed to enforce it. These states right here are allowed to whip your kid's ass now. But in these states right here, it is absolutely outlawed no matter what that dumpster fire says. So if you're in any of these states that I mentioned before, you're fucked, and your kid's going to get their ass whooped if they're out of line. Ain't that great?
Oops.
The fuck? Did you hear about the ass?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Body Program. I'm your host, Joe Neiman, aka Good Lawgic. I have a very busy show tonight. That she was just talking about, that's not true. I'm just going to get that out of the way. It's not true. It should be true. It should be that you're allowed to, wrap a kid's knuckles. It should be. A couple of kids need a good old whap, 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 whap. But it's not true. She's confused, as you can tell from the hair there. The hair there, which basically says danger, danger, danger. Danger, danger, stay away, stay away. This creature is not to be trifled with. Yeah, that's what the hair tells you. That's why it's that color, not a natural color. That's not a color any human's born with, and that's the warning sign. That's your warning sign society gives you. Never ignore the warning signs. Yeah, so she's mistaken. She's referring to the fact that the schools are supposed to be investigating. It's an EO that Trump put out saying that schools are supposed to be investigating and not giving rewards to schools that still embrace DEI. And somehow she interpreted that as corporal punishment. Why not? Why not? And she actually went to go look up which states don't allow corporal punishment, which states do. Say that that's what Trump is doing now. Oh my God. Oh my God. I have a whole bunch of stories for you. I didn't even know how to condense it in my thumbnail. There was just a lot there. I got a lot going on with Pam Bondi. I got this, including Epstein and Epstein Scandal. I got this war in the Senate where basically one of the senators has turned to Cassius. I would call him Brutus, but the senators seem like they're basically trying to assassinate the season. That's what it seems like, and if not literally, which let's face it, one or two may have been involved in that. That certainly politically cut off his objectives. We're going to talk somewhat about that. And I also want to cover a little bit that Mark Carney showing up in the White House, in the Oval Office, and how he got taken over the knee by Trump. The guy who campaigned on, I stand up to Trump. I'm not like Paul Poirier. I will stand up to Trump. Went in there and basically just ended up turning into his lapdog and saying, well, okay, maybe 51st state is not out of the question completely. It's a Trump world and we're just living in it. But before I get to any of those stories, we have to have a celebratory story that I want to share with you all here that should make everyone here happy, which is this decision that came out of SCOTUS today. Every once in a while, we get something to cheer about from SCOTUS. Far too infrequently for my taste. The Supreme Court allows Trump to implement... I don't like it this way. I got this way. Supreme Court allows Trump to implement transgender military ban. Ooh. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yes. The The Supreme Court Tuesday, okay, I need to hear from you, allowed President Donald Trump to implement his ban on transgender people serving in the military. Justice is granting an emergency request for the Trump administration to lift a nationwide injunction blocking the policy while litigation continues. The court's brief order, which we'll take a quick look at that because it is brief, noted that the 3 liberal justices dissented. There's really 5 liberal justices. We're going to have to narrow that down. You have to narrow that down. Who are the 3? Let me know who the 3 are. Here's your order. The application to stay for a stay in the case of U.S. v. Schilling, presented to Justice Kagan and by her referred to the court, is granted. March 27, 2025, preliminary injunction entered by the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Washington is stayed pending the disposition of the appeal in the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit and disposition of a petition for a writ of certiorari, if such a writ is timely sought. Should certiorari be denied, this stay shall terminate automatically. What does this mean for those people who don't speak lawyerese? It means that right now there's an appeal about this order, that's going to the Ninth Circuit. So Trump basically said, we're getting rid of trans people from the military. They got this mental condition where they think they're born in the wrong body. That means they're not fit to serve, and they're going to be all fired. Adios, amigos. The judge who the case came before was so appalled by Trump's stance on this that he said, this is a clear case of constitutional violation, and I'm immediately staying this because I am empowered as one of the 327, 380, whatever, Democratic judges who is king of the nation, and I hereby override President Trump and tell you that there's a ban on this, there's a pause on this being effected ASAP, immediately. Then Trump appealed and said, hey, I want to go to the Ninth Circuit. And while you're deciding this decision, you're making this decision, can you put a stay that we don't have to follow his stupid order and we can start getting rid of these dudes in skirts? And the Ninth Circuit said, no, we're not going to give you a stay on that. His injunction stopping you, this roadblock stopping you from carrying out your executive duties as you see appropriate, we're going to allow that roadblock to sit there while we decide whether or not what to do with your appeal of his decision. Trump said, okay, let me go to SCOTUS, see what SCOTUS is going to do with this. SCOTUS, in a 6-3 decision, apparently said, yeah, that roadblock, no. Not so much. So we're going to stay that decision. And this stay will remain in effect until such time as the Ninth Circuit reaches a decision. And if, in fact, you have to appeal that up here to us in SCOTUS, it'll stay in effect as long as you timely apply for a writ of certiorari to be granted to us, that your case should be taken. And if we accept the writ of certiorari, that your stay on that order will still be in effect. Meaning a stay on this roadblock to Trump agenda. I know it gets very confusing because it's like the stopping and starting and who stayed and whatever. I know it gets confusing for people who don't practice law. So I've drawn this analogy in the past because this has come up a lot over the last 110 days or so. Okay? Trump has his agenda. Along comes rando district court judge who says, nope, roadblock, staying that. I'm going to stay that. So he's putting his roadblock into place. When a higher court reviews that and say, we're going to leave this stay in place, or I'm going to remove this stay, that means they put a stay on this stay. And they say, so that's what's happening here. That's why it gets very confusing because the word stay seems to be used in completely opposite ways in the same sentence. So they put a stay on this judge's TRO. The TRO is a stay on Trump's thing. So they're saying, oh, you want to put that roadblock there? No. That roadblock doesn't go there, and the Trump train can keep marching along to whatever tune that they managed to get this stay on the stay. Make sense? So the Ninth Circuit said, oh, we'll leave the roadblock in place. SCOTUS said, no, we're going to stay your ability to put that roadblock in there, put that out there, and you keep going along and the Ninth Circuit will decide whether they agree. And if they agree, well, then you can apply to us for a writ of certiorari. We may grant you a writ of certiorari. We're not going to tell you in advance whether or not we'll grant it. We're not going to give you that. But as long as you timely file for a writ of certiorari, you can keep marching along with your Trump agenda. And if we grant you the writ of certiorari, you can keep marching along until such time as we reach a final determination as to whether or not we want to let this roadblock stand in your way. The point being, that's why they say in the event that certiorari is granted. So if you lose in the Ninth Circuit, because let's face it, we know you're probably going to lose in the Ninth Circuit because you got a bunch of hippie justices out there who all wish they were back in the 60s smoking toke, doing toke, and dancing to, I don't know, the Who, or whatever passes for the Who. Actually, the Who was pretty talented. But basically, in whatever psychedelic phases they're in there in the Ninth Circuit. And one of the things that being living out West Coast means is that you're probably deeply infected with a terrible case of Trump derangement syndrome. So you're probably going to be endorsing whatever stupidity came out of the District Court of Washington. So when that happens, as long as you apply for a writ of certiorari, you're good. You can keep on going. And this roadblock to this TRO, this roadblock TRO is stayed from coming in there. And if we deny that and we say we're not going to review it, then it kicks in. If we grant it and we let this case be heard before this court, then you can keep resuming. That's what this means here. I hope that was a little clearer than it probably seems when you first read it on first blush. So what did Pete Hegseth say about this? No more trans. The DOD. Very simple. Oh, that's what he says. He's got more to say on that. Here's Pete Hegseth weighing in.
No more pronouns. No more climate change obsession. No more emergency vaccine mandates. No more dudes in dresses. We're done with that shit. No more pronouns.
There you go. Well done. Well done indeed. Whew. There you go. Want to get that out of the way. So that's a good day. That's a good day for the good people of the world. Let's start getting into our stories of the day. And we start by looking at Pam Bondi and the week that she's having, which has some good moments, and some not so good moments. Let's look at Pam Bondi's week, because a lot of people are starting to get very, very frustrated with Pam Bondi. Lots of folks. Before I go into this, though, I just want to share this with you all fine people, okay? Recently, I tweeted something out. Something on X, which is relevant to perhaps some of you who may be watching here. So I'm just going to share that with you here, just to publicize it a little bit more. And that was specifically this. What I shared out was, attention YouTube, wannabe YouTube creators. I am brainstorming and came up with a new idea that should be interesting to try. I'm looking to react live online to current events as they are shared with me by a co-host. It's an invitation, an open invitation, where I'm seeking a co-host. Your role will be to gather links to vids, stories that are hot topics and or lesser known. So basically stuff like that. You would co-host the show with me, break out stories for me to react to. If there are stories that people have widely divergent opinions on and or you think will evoke a visceral reaction from me, where either you're making me laugh or making me feel outraged or both, all the better. So this is really, and it's really meant for either a YouTube hobbyist or someone seeking exposure. If interested, drop a comment or DM me. So if someone's interested, someone's newly starting out and they're looking to, they want to get their face out there. One of the ways that I know that I managed to grow was I got my face out there. I made appearances on different channels and different shows and basically got a foothold where people will be able to hear me and hopefully grow to like and follow, things of that nature. So I'm basically, I don't know what a Jamie is that I'm supposedly looking for here. I don't know what that is. But I am looking for I'm looking for someone who I think that I can, and I actually have one person who volunteered, one person who stepped up. And he seems like he has great potential. Someone you've all seen before. I won't call him out till we have our first show locked down. But I have one person out there who volunteered. And I'm thinking he has great potential. He'll probably do a phenomenal job. But I was thinking a little open mic, if other people are interested, I'd let other people try and we sort of get a flavor for what works best. So anyway, if you are interested in that, I urge you to DM me over on X at the following pro, and we'll talk. And we'll see if it's potentially a good fit for both of us. It doesn't work unless it's a good fit for both of us. But the ideal candidate probably is someone who's looking at YouTube as either a hobby or they have a channel, they're looking to help grow, and they want to get some added exposure. So for them, that's a phenomenal opportunity. I would think. Appearing on the Rittenhouse trial was a phenomenal opportunity for me to get exposure. So if you're interested in that, if that's your deal, please make sure you hit me up and let me know. Let's get into Pam Bondi because there's a lot going on in her world. She busy. Here's Pam Bondi talking about the DOJ announcement on drug trafficking operations. This is a big win for Pam Bondi and her DOJ. 100%. That's the only reason we wear matching tracksuits, because they just look that good. They look that good.
This multi-agency operation led by DEA with our local, state, tribal, and federal partners targeted one of the largest and most dangerous drug trafficking and foreign terrorist organizations in our country. The DEA seized 11.5 kilos of fentanyl, including an astounding approximately 3 million fentanyl pills. The
11.5 kilos and 3 million pills. Wow.
Largest seizure in our nation's history. These are the pills in the bags right there. The main bottom right, the head of this organization, Sinaloa organization, here in the country illegally, 6 of these guys and women here in the country illegally. His name is Alberto Salazar Amaya. He is the leader, and he was living in Salem, Oregon. With him, they got millions of dollars, cash, cars, but the drugs were in Albuquerque, Phoenix, and Utah. That's how insulated these drug dealer cartel leaders make themselves.
That's crazy amount of fentanyl. And kudos to Pam Bondi and her team for tracking that down and seizing it. I don't know what a thought bubble is. What is a thought bubble? What's a thought bubble? I don't know. So that's a good day. You would think it's a great week for her. But and you have this. I haven't seen. Oh. And then, yeah, that's all well and good, but you have people who are calling for her to freaking release the Jeffrey Epstein files that we keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for. And there's a new name. There's a brand new name that came out as these files are starting to drop. A brand new name that's going to shock a bunch of you. Going to shock a bunch of you. You want to hear a new name associated linked to Jeffrey Epstein? Here it comes.
Breaking news here, a third batch of documents pertaining to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has just been released. We've been combing through this. Nate Boy has been helping us do so. He's live from our New York City newsroom. What are we learning here, Nate?
Hey, Sandra. So 29 documents were just released in the past hour. Over
29 documents sounds nice and everything like that. And it sounds like it's like 1/100,000th of what we need. It sounds like such a tiny amount compared to that. But here's what we got in those 29 documents.
Over 400 pages. We're going through it as quickly as we can. And once again, names in the Clinton family have come up. So, of course, these names coming out as part of a 2015 defamation lawsuit between Virginia Giuffre, one of the accusers who claims that she was sex trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's confidant. Names that were searched, or at least discussed to be searched through Maxwell's phone as part of that defamation case include Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton.
What? Hillary Clinton. Hillary, that's what they said.
Or at least discussed to be searched through Maxwell's phone as part of that defamation case include Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Prince Andrew. Law.harvard.edu was one of the phrases to be searched through her phone, as well as Alan Dershowitz, the attorney. But the difference today, Hillary Clinton's name coming through, as we have seen former President Bill Clinton's name pop up each of the past 2 days. Another thing to note, Sandra, in one of the documents that was just released, there is essentially a message book that came out. It's handwritten notes for Jeffrey Epstein about who had called him. One of those notes reads, quote,
They had these notes at the Ghislaine Maxwell trial 3 years ago. They had a whole diary of every people calling and leaving messages. So I don't know what the hell's happening. They included them as exhibits in that trial. They shared them and published them to the jury and to the 200 reporters who were there. Now, we didn't get to parse through them one by one. We could not parse through them. We could only see the ones that they specifically shared. So there was no Hillary Clinton. And Maureen Comey, who was lead prosecutor there, was bending over backwards to A, convict Ghislaine Maxwell, and B, make sure names like Hillary Clinton did not come up. So much so that she was chastised by Judge Allison Nathan for it. So, yeah, the fact that they've had these records forever.
She had on the phone Mr. Harvey Weinstein. So we'll keep looking into that.
Shocked, I say, shocked. You wouldn't think Hillary Clinton, right? You wouldn't think Hillary Clinton. Like, what the heck is happening there with Hillary? What's happening with Hillary? That's what I want to know. Look, it's not my business to pry into the personal, private lives of any individuals, even if they are well known in folk, right? Like who and what they're doing with in under the covers. I don't care. It's not my business. I'm not going to kid. I don't think I'm alone in this, in just sort of picturing Hillary Clinton as being almost bionic in a lack of need. I don't know. I like just not human. Maybe it's because I assume that she donated her heart to science when she was 9, and has and certainly is a soulless creature. But yeah, I kind of just always envisioned that that whatever it is that we associate Jeffrey Epstein with providing his clients is pretty much the last thing that Hillary would ever be interested in. If anything, perhaps I could see her working in cahoots to try and manipulate people and stuff like that. That I could totally see. That I could totally see. But then you would think that her husband Bill wouldn't get caught up in that. I can't even. I'm just. And no visualizations. I'm not visualizing anything. I mean it. I can't. I'm just saying. I assume like a robot. A robot. Normal bodily functions are not part of their routine. I've never seen Hillary eat. Not sure she breathes. If she was some sort of, George Soros twisted type of AI, wouldn't shock me. That would make a lot more sense. For that soulless demon. So yeah, I can't even imagine. I'm still trying to wrap my head around without getting any of these visuals. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Tough times. Yes. Anyhow, let's just move forward. It's best not take my advice. It's best not to think about it. It's really best not to think about it. No, wait. Oops. Let's get back up here. We'll do it this way. I like the rectangle here. It's better.
As well as the rest, or as for the rest of the documents that we've had the chance to go through to this point, they explain through depositions a lot of the recruiting process for a lot of these young girls, some of them recruited by Virginia Giuffre's ex-boyfriend. Many of the girls described at Epstein's home.
That came up in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. If you watch my coverage of it, you would have heard me tell of all that. How she and her boyfriend who came in and testified, at the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, and said how he used to take a cut, like he was pretty much like a 14-year-old pimp, 16-year-old pimp. Yeah. He said that they had to they got paid in $100 bills, and they had to break them in Palm Beach because you cannot break 100 in West Palm, where they were from. You can only break them in Palm Beach, which is rich. They had to make sure to break the hundreds there because they couldn't break them on their side of the tracks. Here's the huge show. Got late. And Epstein didn't self-delete. No, he definitely did not self-delete. That's for sure. But this story doesn't seem to go away. It doesn't go away. We're never going to hear the end of it. I'm wondering if we'll have something similar with Diddy. I really am. He's on the exact same track, this guy. Exact same track. There's a way this story goes. And I think he's on the exact same track. The only difference is that his circle seems to be more the Hollywood elite rather than the DC elite. More celeb, less political. But it's one of the reasons I'm starting to embrace the Diddy trial, which I will be covering starting next week. I will be doing that.
Under the age of 18, some of them from different countries. So right now, with these 29 documents being released, that makes 88 documents that have come out to this point. Giuffre's lawyers tell us that we can expect 240, and that process for those documents to be unsealed could stretch into Monday. But we'll keep going through this newest batch of documents, and we'll let you know what we find.
All right.
There you go. And thank you, my brother. Thank you. Go smash the like and subscribe. All hail our not a cult leader. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. The thumbs up gets hidden by the yellow there. I never noticed that before. Thank you. Yeah. So some folks are not too keen about her job in doing the release so far. In fact, Representative James Comer has
What's next?
Has some thoughts about Pam Bondi and this whole situation with Jeffrey Epstein, which may be a little disconcerting. Maybe a little disconcerting.
Next, I mean, we did a little bit of a preview on the Epstein files. Obviously, that's like finding a unicorn in Washington D.C.
This is U.S. House. I think it's from the Ways and Means Committee. James Comer.
You have come on and talked about that on this program, just for the sake of transparency, which is very big for you. And so, in closing, any motion on that, any movement on that? We hear that there's a timeline now.
I hope James has the Epstein files, because I don't think the Department of Justice has them, or at least the Attorney General does not have them, or she would have turned them over. The president ordered them released. The Attorney General ordered them released. We all know they have not been released. And one of my biggest fears that I had, and I expressed this with Kash Patel and a lot of people, Stephen Miller, and a lot of people going into the new administration. I'm like, I hope they're not shredding documents right now. This was a few weeks before the transition. I said, I hope they're not shredding documents, but you all need to go on that first day and try to get all this stuff released, because my fear is from what I've dealt with in investigations and in communication with this deep state apparatus, is they're probably in there shredding documents as we speak. So hopefully someone has a copy of that, and I hope we find out, because our task force has done everything, led by Anna Paulina Luna. You had her on your show many times. I mean, she's relentless. She's persistent. She's pretty frustrated right now that these files haven't been released, even though the president and the Attorney General have ordered them released. But it's like I told Anna the same thing I told Patel and everybody else. I'm like, you assume that somebody in the deep state said, okay, we'll just put these in a file back here, this incriminating evidence on everybody, and maybe the next administration can do whatever they want to do with it. That's unfortunately the way it's supposed to work, but it hasn't worked with this deep state.
So they're just going to let the incriminating evidence sit there smoldering that could put them all in prison.
Yeah,
right?
no, I wish they should. That's what they're supposed to do. But you and I have dealt with them, Benny. You've covered the deep state as well as anyone. I mean, they cover their tracks, and it's just hard for me to believe they're going to leave incriminating evidence if the government was involved.
This is very disconcerting. Everything about this is very disconcerting. It's very disconcerting. I'll explain why in a moment.
If the government wasn't involved, I don't think they would have any reason to protect Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton. They're never going to be elected anything again. I don't think they would have any reason to protect Bill Gates or anybody else. The concern I've always had about the Epstein file was the government involved. Did the government know? Was the government using Epstein and the videos to blackmail the most influential people around the world? If that's the case, then they knew there.
You have to expose the corruption in the government. That's the whole thing here. That's what this is all about. We all assume there's some triple letter agency associated with him. Just stop trying to cover for them. We want that. That's exactly what we wanted. That's why we want the transparency. In fact, I'll tell you right now, until we actually get the names associated with a particular triple letter agency that is associated with Epstein, we have not gotten the full story. We haven't, because it's not possible that he was not connected to some people within the agency, either under the blanket authority of some very powerful people. I don't know. Perhaps they're going to try and tell us that it was some rogue circle of people. The way they did with Page and Peter Strzok and all that other, some rogue agents who were running him or something like that, and using USAID funds to fatten up his wallet or something. I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to claim, but I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way he was not connected on a government level. You look at the plea deal that he got, which was an insane plea deal. An insane plea deal. It was worse than losing. It was worse than going to court and losing. The plea deal he got in 2007 from Alex Costa was insane. When this story first came to national attention, And everyone started learning about who Jeffrey Epstein was. Most of the world didn't know. Most Americans didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was until 2007. When those charges first came out, and Alex Costos brought charges against him and then ends up cutting a plea deal with him, which gives him this ridiculous 2 years on a work release type of thing, and giving him and two of his cohorts, one of whom being Ghislaine Maxwell, a blanket immunity. It was insane. It was crazy. And the only logical thing that we all saw and heard was he's connected to the government. He didn't even have to stay in jail. He was able to report at night and work from home. That's not jail. That's not anything. Report back to his club fed in the evening. So yeah, none of this made sense unless he was politically connected. Until we learn which agencies were funding him, we haven't gotten the story on Jeffrey Epstein. Now maybe we will, maybe we won't. But I'll tell you something, Pam Bondi, if this video ever catches your attention, your refusal to tell us why it is it's taking so long, that speaks volumes. Because the only reason people watch my show at all is because you know that I will tell you something, even if I don't find it particularly appealing or something that I might be a little bit embarrassed about. I'm going to give you the truth. That's what we in this post-truth society and the public is clamoring for, desperate for. That we know sometimes we're going to be disappointed in the person who's speaking or other agencies. Don't try and shield us from the truth. Just give us the freaking truth. Just spell it out. If it got shredded, tell us it got shredded. And then tell us what investigations you're conducting in order to discover who illegally shredded your documents. You know, just be straight with us, even if it's bad news. We're so tired of having the elites decide what is suitable for our very precious ears or for our sensibilities. Or it's so stupid. So Pam Bondi, if you're watching this, just be straight with us. Tell us why it is you haven't given it to us to you, and if given it out to us yet. And if you don't have it, you don't have it. But stop with the ridiculous. It's coming. It's not coming. It's on my desk. It's not on my desk. Here's some stupid binders with no information in them. Stop trying to hoodwink us, because that's what it feels like at this point. It feels like you're trying to hoodwink us. It feels like you're trying to make us feel as if you're doing something when you're not. And if you're not, then we want to know why you're not. And if it's because they just don't exist, then tell us where it is, what happened to them. Say they don't exist, and we're trying to figure out where they are and how they went missing. If James Comer is correct here. But the games are exactly the type of rhino crap which is so aggravating. It's like, just stop it. Just tell us. It's all anyone wants. Just give us the friggin' truth.
There were victims of sex crimes there, and they did nothing. So, you know, that's the concern I have. If the government covers this up, I don't believe it's because of any love affair or affection for the Clinton family. Just like I never believed they were hiding and covering for the Bidens because they loved Joe Biden. It was because they hated Donald Trump, you know, and they didn't want their agencies to be disrupted. The same thing with the Epstein files. I don't know this, but my concern is that that the government may have known a lot more and may have been an active participant, maybe with the intentions of intelligence gathering. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I don't think the American people would be okay if the government knew that crimes against young women were occurring, and yet they did nothing to intervene.
Well, in that case, at least we should know who was okay with it. Stop trying to protect people. Stop it. I don't know. Maybe it's going back 2007. Maybe it goes all the way up to George W. Bush. I don't know. Let us know. It's that simple. Stop covering for them. This is just insanity. It's really crazy. J. Dean says, also Kanye is wild. He wants to whip you, Joe. No. I assume he said something about whipping Jews. I don't know. I really don't follow what Kanye says. I don't know. Call me ignorant. Every Democrat first lady since after Kennedy is a man. I don't know how I missed this one earlier. No comments. No comments. One more person not too happy with Pam Bondi.
No, Trump wanted to close the Department of Education,
Oops,
but then even
that's
2
not for
weeks
you.
later, he's passing bills so they can whip your kid's ass in school. That's
I know what
awesome.
that is.
So here's how it really goes, though.
Yep. Welcome to the following program. I know you don't hear it, but I do. That's what happened. So confused by that. I was so confused by that. Okay. Sorry about that. This is what I wanted to share with you is Alex Jones, none too happy with Pam Bondi. If we go to Jim, if we can get clip 19 up there, can we get clip 19? Thanks.
Rico, there's this, there's that, and it takes time. Okay, that's fine. But how long do we wait? A year? 2 years? 5 years? How long do I wait before? Because listen, I do this for a living too. Yeah, okay, you can tell me Pam Bondi's a much better lawyer than whatever, maybe she is. But it doesn't take 100 days to put a case together against a pedophile child rapist on the Epstein list. And an end user that was being blackmailed is not going to be someone who's going to destroy a RICO case by going after them.
And it's open and shut on these NGOs and the hundreds of billions. I mean, John Podesta over 370-something billions in their private bank accounts. They should have been arrested the first week.
Here's the thing. So we find out that Bondi, in her, this is 12 months, right? This is a 12-month disclosure. So within 12 months of her doing her disclosures, she had made a bunch of money working for Pfizer. Now, apparently, this was of counsel for one of a law firm she was working with, and we're not clear what she was doing or what was going on with it, but she was definitely working. I've got the financial disclosure forms. I actually looked at them, and
I don't know what I see. This is what I'm a little confused by. And this happens to me all the time when I'm listening to these different folks on the right. It's like I'm made to feel like I'm stupid. Like either I feel like when I'm watching them, either I'm too smart or I'm too stupid for what I'm getting. And I'm not saying he's wrong about anything he's saying. I'm simply saying I don't understand. Maybe some of you do understand. I don't understand what the ties are between Pfizer and Epstein. That's the bridge I don't understand. So you want to tell me that because she has some connection to Pfizer, so now she's connected to Epstein. And I understand that when you hear Pfizer, you think of neocons and Democrats. I get that. But just because she's representing Pfizer, so now she's not prosecuting neocons and she's not prosecuting certain people. Like these are the connections that just get lost on me. And whenever I'm watching a lot of these independent shows, they seem to draw these connections and just take it as a given that their audience is just going to be like, oh yeah, wow, well, she's connected with Pfizer. Obviously she's dirty and covering up for Epstein. And I'm like, look, I don't think that that's a cool thing that she's representing Pfizer. You want to tell me that should concern me with respect to her prosecuting people with related to crimes having to do with COVID and things of that nature. Okay, that I can understand. Why would this tie into Jeffrey Epstein? Am I missing? And I'm like, am I too stupid that I don't see it, and everyone else does? I really feel. I'm not being facetious when I'm saying this. I feel stupid. I'm like, why is it I don't see this very obvious connection that everyone else does, or am I the only one who's too smart? And I'm asking the question of what's the connection, as opposed to just saying, oh, Epstein clients bad, Pfizer people bad, which is what I assume probably a lot of people in the audience do. So it's like, wow, she's associated with these bad people. Obviously, she's covering up for those bad people. And if that is what it is that they want me to take from this, that actually gets me annoyed with whoever is making the claim. Like, why are you trying to treat me like I'm an idiot? So I'm not sure if I am an idiot, because I should obviously understand this connection, or if I'm thinking when I'm watching this, one of us is an idiot. Either me for not seeing the connection, or you for pretending that a connection exists. But someone here is an idiot in this. I'm sorry. And it really could be me. It could be me. I don't get it.
And they show that she was working for Pfizer, that she actually.
And I'll be thrilled if one of you could point out what I'm missing here that makes this so obvious. I'll be thrilled. I'll be thrilled to be, and I won't be embarrassed. I'm not going to be upset with you. I'll be very happy. Just tell me what the connection is here, because I don't know what this obvious connection is.
They made money directly. It looks like directly from Pfizer. They're listed as number 7 on their financial disclosure form, and that's interesting. Now, it was listed also separately from Panzamauer and Maynard, which is the law firm that she was of counsel with. So I don't know whether that means she was working directly for Pfizer or not, but that's more than a little concerning. And then also, you'll see up top there, if you look at that same page, you'll see a number 1, Ballard Partners. Now, Ballard Partners is a lobbying firm. And I didn't say much about this there, but Ballard Partners has, according to Reuters, even this is Reuters, so it's not like they're, but they've taken on Bayer Pharmaceutical as one of their crews. Now, remember, Bayer is out there trying to lobby state to state to get glyphosate protection and immunity. They're trying to make sure nobody's going after them for poisoning people. And Bayer is also, I mean, they're one of the biggest issues that we face in the Maha movement. I mean, they're just a rotten crew, in my opinion. Whether it be on food or pharma, they're bad on both sides. So Bondi.
So you want to tell me in general we shouldn't trust her? Okay, that doesn't tie into Jeffrey Epstein, though. You want to tell me we shouldn't trust her because she's too deep in league with rhinos and all the people who are sloshing money all over DC and trying to amass greater power and control? That I can accept.
Is tied super closely with a lot of people we got to question. And right now, and you know about this.
This suggestion she's corrupt because of Pfizer connections, so she's hiding the Epstein files. To me, this is like brandishing the lawyer because he represented a mass murderer in a trial. Yeah, this doesn't. So it is a thin link that they're trying to basically make, is like, aha, we got her.
This case, Alex, Brooke Jackson's got her key TAM case that she's running against Pfizer right now. Well, the DOJ is opposing that case. Now, if Pam Bondi was representing Pfizer and the DOJ is now opposing that case, that really asks, I mean, there's some questions we got to ask there, right?
Major conflict of interest.
Well, I mean, it could be. We don't know. I don't know. I'm sure she's dotting some I's and crossing some T's to make sure it doesn't look that way. But, I'm getting to the point where I see we're not doing anything on child rapists through the Epstein list. We're not doing anything on.
This connection between Pfizer and Epstein? Okay. All right. Well, that would, if so, then tomorrow I'll look like an idiot.
Going after the Soros or Gates crews who are behind a lot of these groups that are destabilizing America. We're not going after any of the Democrat groups that were behind J6. We're not going after any of the big pharma people or the crimes against humanity. And I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start asking the question, is this Bill Barr Part 2? I mean,
and that's a question which I think a lot of people in MAGA are genuinely asking. Is this Bill Barr Part 2?
Do we have the same sort of thing on repeat? And also,
yeah, and I don't think you're saying that yet, but I think tell me if I'm wrong. It's
we're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're getting there, and I don't want to be right about this. I want to like her. I want to believe what everybody's telling me. Oh, there's a big plan. There's a RICO. There's this. There's that. And
I was live in 2020. I don't remember. I'll never again have confidence in people saying trust the plan.
It takes time. Okay, that's fine. But how long do we wait? A year? 2 years? 5 years? How long do I wait before? Because listen, I do this for a living too. Yeah, okay, you can tell me Pam Bondi's a much better lawyer than you. Whatever, maybe she is. But it doesn't.
She certainly has a lot more assets at her disposal, which should be able to expedite things, you would think, if you got like hundreds of attorneys working for you.
Take 100 days to put a case together against a pedophile child rapist on the Epstein list. And an end user that was being blackmailed is not going to be someone who's going to destroy a RICO case by going after them.
And it's open and shut on these NGOs and the hundreds of billions. I mean, John Podesta, over 370-something billions in their private bank accounts. They should have been arrested the first week.
Oh, the crimes that could be taken out immediately if we actually had the desire to go after. Someone posted a comment on one of my things, say we should Bondi should be dropped and they should put you in there. Yeah, the odds of a guy like me ever being close to AG is zero. Christ himself would have to come in and ordain it for that to happen, because no one in Washington actually wants to take down the.
Yeah, I don't know why Trump didn't bring in.
It.
Why didn't Trump bring in Ken Paxton? He's an honorable man.
Paxton. I mean, look.
Andrew Bailey.
What happened? Well, here's the other thing. Look at what happened when they tried to put Matt Gaetz up. I mean, they had a conniption, an absolute stroke. But
Matt Gaetz didn't have the background in prosecuting cases, so I can understand that. But this is a good time for us to start talking about prosecutors, because this leads us into our next story, our very next story here. It's a good time for us to transition, pardon the pun, Pete Hegseth, transition into the Ed Martin situation. The Ed Martin situation. It's a good time to transition over there. So, Ed Martin is currently sitting as the temporary district attorney for the District of Columbia. Temporary because he has yet to be confirmed by the Senate. So why is this a big deal? Why is it a big deal that he's not being confirmed yet? It's because it doesn't look like the Senate is about to confirm him anytime soon. In fact, there seems to be growing opposition to confirming him. And if, in fact, he doesn't get confirmed within 120 days, then he gets replaced. Because what happens is, if he's blocked, this is what happens. As insane as it sounds, it's true. If Senate Republicans block the confirmation of Ed Martin, anti-Trump activist Judge James Boasberg, the same one who's blocking deportation flights and who helped cover up the Russiagate fraud, will get to handpick the U.S. attorney instead. James Boasberg, in the event of a vacancy, as it said here, a person appointed as U.S. attorney on this section may serve until the earlier of qualification of U.S. attorney for such district appointed by the president, or the expiration of 120 days. And we're like at 110 now, after appointment by the AG under this section. If an appointment expires under section C2, the district court for such district may appoint a U.S. attorney to serve until the vacancy is filled. The order of appointment by the court shall be filed with the clerk of the court. So a lot of people freaking out saying, oh my God, this is a very serious situation. Mike Benz is one of them. He says people are not appreciating the magnitude of Ed Martin's situation. Prosecutors on top of the FBI. He runs all D.C. criminal investigations. He's the choke point for D.C.'s worst secrets. If Ed Martin is blocked and Boasberg picked, Trump 2.0's momentum is totally paralyzed. Yes and no. Paralyzed, not crippled. Paralyzed, not crippled. And that is a very important distinction. It is a very important distinction because if you read what that statute says, it says in Section D that if the appointment expires 120 days run, district court for such district, which is headed by James Boasberg, may appoint a U.S. attorney to serve. These are the key 5 words until the vacancy is filled, meaning whoever Boasberg would appoint would be in charge for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if the 120 days lapse. Whoever he appoints, and then you get someone put in there, and that appointment by Boasberg would be gone. So this is not a calamity. It's a temporary paralysis, which I agreed with Mike Benz that it would be a paralysis for that period of time, but it's a temporary paralysis until such time as someone is confirmed. Okay. All right, let's talk about some folks who are standing in the way of this confirmation process. Matt Governor Chetta Freeheart says, I trust Dan Bongino more than anyone else. If Bondi's correct up to Bongino won't put up with it, he would go over ahead in a heartbeat. I don't know that he can. At least not with the current power structure. Sorry to divert attention. Master prayers and blessings tomorrow as I undergo surgery. Thank you. Oh my God. Prayers for Kimmy Hunt. I hope you're okay. Oh my God. Sorry about that. I'm expecting you to come back here and give me an awesome report, like in a couple of days. And I hope that you can deal with the stress of that because I can't even imagine how scary that must be. Here is Thom Tillis, senator from North Carolina, who opposes, Republican senator from North Carolina, who is opposing Ed Martin's appointment, explaining why. And we're going to watch this, and I'm going to explain to you how backward and convoluted this entire line of thinking that you're about to hear from him is.
He is, I don't believe he's being advanced to the markup. I met with Mr. Martin. He seems like a good man. Most of my concerns related to January 6th. And he built a compelling case on some of the...
Wait. I just realized something important before we go any further with this video here. A lot of you probably don't know very much about Ed Martin. Who is Ed Martin? What's the big deal with Ed Martin? What's the deal? What's the story, Joe? We need to know who Ed Martin is. Well, let me explain to you a little bit about who Ed Martin is, because this is important for you to understand. This is important for you to understand in order to appreciate the seriousness of this situation. In order to better appreciate it, I wanted to look into exactly what the deal is with Ed Martin. Why is it that he's, MAGA seems to love him, and he's controversial for some of the neocons. So let's get a little background so we can understand what Thom Tillis means when he says because of J6. Ed Martin, the subject, and it relates to, I pulled this up on a Senator Rand post, because Senator Rand, whoops, wrong one. Senator Rand wrote, I have known USA Ed Martin for over a decade. He's currently working hard to further President Trump's mission to restore lawful order to D.C. If the Senate fails to confirm Ed as U.S. Attorney for D.C. in the next 2 weeks, the D.C. chief with a history of ruling against President Trump will be empowered to pick Ed's replacement. We cannot afford another U.S. attorney who refuses to pursue criminal prosecutions. The Senate must confirm Ed expeditiously. As he writes in his letter here, I write to support the nomination of Ed Martin to serve as the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. I've known Ed for over a decade. And can attest to the fact, I don't know if you can read that. Let me make, is this going to be big enough if I do it like this? That's better. That's a little better. Can you guys see? Can you see? Can you see? I'm watching the chat. Good day, Sally Port. Do I need to make it bigger? I'll make it bigger. It's like, where'd that come from? I don't remember having a clip open with that. This is what Paul Rand wrote. President Trump appointed Martin as interim U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia on January 20, 2025. Under current law, the AG may appoint an individual to fill a vacant U.S. Attorney position for up to 120 days. After that, the District Court may appoint a U.S. Attorney to serve until a nominee is formally appointed by the President and confirmed by the Senate. Martin was appointed 106 days ago. If Senate fails to confirm Mr. Martin, the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia will have the authority to appoint his replacement. We cannot risk appointment of another U.S. attorney who refuses to pursue criminal prosecutions. Martin's well equipped for the role of U.S. attorney. Graduating from law school and clerking for the U.S. Court of Appeals to the 8th Circuit, he practiced law for almost 2 decades. Served as chairman of the St. Louis Board of Election Commissioners and chief of staff to the governor of Missouri, and provided political commentary on his radio show, The Pro America Report. In all his endeavors, Mr. Martin placed the good of the public before everything else and understands differences between political advocacy and serving the people. We have to ensure that D.C.'s place Americans can visit without worry for their safety. Martin has already worked to fight violent crime in the district. President Trump and I have the utmost confidence that Mr. Martin will restore lawful order. But what makes him so controversial, though? No, that's not what I wanted. So, you want to know what makes him so controversial? Let me scroll down a little bit here. Oh, okay. This is what they base. I'm going to read through all this with you, but because I asked, why is he controversial? So his role in Stop the Steal rallies, he organized Stop the Steal movement, which propagated unfounded claims. This is Grok, by the way. Grok telling us unfounded claims of election fraud in the 2020 U.S. presidential election. He spoke at a rally on January 5th, 2021, leading chants and claiming they're stealing our republic. Well, obviously, he thought that's what was happening. On January 6th, he was present at the Capitol during the riot, posting on social media the crowd was rowdy, but nothing out of hand, downplaying the violence that unfolded as mob stormed the Capitol. Maybe in his area, it wasn't rowdy. Maybe it wasn't violent where he was. Martin has actively supported J6 defendants, serving as their legal counsel and advocating for them. That shouldn't be a knock against him. Everyone deserves legal counsel, even terrible human beings, if they were such. Represented 3 defendants, including a Proud Boys member who pleaded guilty to felony charges. So, he also served on the board of the Patriot Freedom Project, which raised funds for J6 defendants and their families. Okay. Notably, his foundation hosted a 2024 banquet at Trump's Bedminster Golf honoring Timothy Hal Cusinelli, convicted Capitol rider with Nazi sympathies. Really? When I see these 2 words together, I'm like, no, I'm already not trusting this. I don't know where the heck Grok got this from, but what the heck is that? I don't know. Maybe he does. I don't know I never heard of Cusinelli until I just read the name. Conflict of interest as interim U.S. Attorney Martin signed a motion to dismiss charges against Joseph Padilla, a J6 defendant who had previously represented, raising ethical concerns. Why? Why is that ethical concerns? This is. So you want to tell me his lack of experience? Okay, that I can accept. You want to tell me that's the issue? Okay. History of incendiary claims and controversial actions consistently echoes Trump's baseless claims the stolen 2020 election calling results a hoax and dismissing Russian interference in the 2016 election as a hoax, which it was. These positions align with far-right narratives. So I guess truth of Russian interference being a hoax is a far-right narrative. But undermine his credibility among those who value evidence-based governance. I got to yell at Grok for this. What the F kind of crap are you writing here? I'm sorry. I got to yell at Grok. Sometimes I yell at Grok. What that? Sorry, I have to yell at Grok every once in a while. If they're going to start telling me that Russian collusion, this is the most ridiculous crap in the world. Collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, no direct evidence found, but significant contacts. Wow. Wow. I didn't expect to get into argument with Grok on stream. I just couldn't. I'm mad at Grok, okay? I'm mad. Grok wants to. Yeah. This is just pathetic. This is pathetic. All right. I can't waste more time with that. Let's get back into Thune here. Sorry, Thom Tillis. Let's get back into Thom Tillis. Now we have a little better understanding as to who Ed Martin is, and when he talks about J6, what Thom Tillis is talking about here, because he didn't go into the Capitol, but he had the audacity to represent J6 defendants and also participate in some Stop the Steal rallies and raise some folks who were convicted. So he definitely seems to be let's call it a J6 sympathizer. A J6 sympathizer. I'm going to explain to you how backward, how Thom Tillis logic is no sounder than the logic we just saw from Grok.
He is, I don't believe he's being advanced to the markup. I met with Mr. Martin. He seems like a good man. Most of my concerns related to January 6th. And he built a compelling case on some of the 1512 prosecutions that were probably heat of the moment bad decisions, but where
heat of the moment bad, I don't know what those
where we probably have a difference is I think anybody that breached the perimeter should have been in prison for some period of time, whether it's 30 days or 3 years is debatable, but I have
it's not debatable.
No tolerance for anybody who entered the building on January the 6th, and that's
even if they were escorted in by police officers.
Probably where most of the friction was.
I see. So he disagreed with you on that?
Well, no, I have to say that Mr. Martin did a good job of explaining how there were people that probably got caught up in it, but they made the stupid decision to come through a building that had been breached and that the police officers and others were saying, stay away.
No, some of them were waving them in.
So the difference wasn't that they should be charged, in my estimation. It's by how much. That's an argument I'm willing to have, but we have to be very, very clear that what happened on January the 6th was wrong. It wasn't, it was not prompted or created by other people to put those people in trouble. They made a stupid decision and they disgraced the United States by absolutely destroying the Capitol. And I can't have any patience.
It sounds like you.
So this is why he's voting against confirming Ed Martin.
Your concerns were not alleviated.
But let me be very clear, though. Mr. Martin did a good job of explaining the one area that I think he's probably right, that there were some people that were over prosecuted, but there were some, 200 or 300 of them that
200 or 300
should have never gotten a pardon, and he agreed with that.
200 or 300. So, wow, 200 or 300.
But the disagreement there had more to do. If Mr. Martin were being put forth as a U.S. attorney for any district except the district where January 6th happened, the protest happened, I'd probably support him, but not in this district.
So I'd support him elsewhere, but not in this district. I'd support him elsewhere, but not in this district. Why? Why not in this district? What makes a difference? Why would you support him in a different district, but not in this district? And I really want you to just think about that for a moment. I would support him to be a U.S. attorney, just not in D.C., because he was associated with J6, and that's where So now he'd be supervising over the very district where he has shown sympathies for J6. So it's not appropriate for him to preside or serve as the U.S. Attorney for D.C. Anywhere else is fine, not D.C. That's what Thom Tillis is saying here, right? I want you to just think about this for a second. What is he essentially saying? Why would it be wrong for him to be let's assume that there's some sanity in his position. I'm going to show you the hypocrisy of his position. Even if we try giving it the biggest benefit of the doubt, I'm going to display to you how there's hypocrisy in his very own position of saying, I would support him for U.S. Attorney, but not in D.C. This is where the hypocrisy lays. The reason why you're saying that he shouldn't be U.S. Attorney in D.C., the only logical reason would be because, hey, it's not right to have him preside over this place because D.C. is different, right? We were affected by J6, and he's supporting J6. I can't abide by that. Having this guy who's supporting something that affected D.C. so directly, I cannot abide by the notion of putting him as the U.S. Attorney over this very district. Anywhere else, fine. But it feels wrong to me to have him preside over this district, given his history with J6, which is admission. It's a declaration that this district, D.C., is different when it comes to the J6 issue than everywhere else. And I agree with him. It is very different. It is very different. But the fact that it's different, because people in D.C., they felt J6 in a way that is far more personal than people who are outside D.C. They did. I know this because I attended some voir dires for J6 defendants. And I listening to people going up and talking about how they have a brother who works in the Capitol or an uncle who works for Senator Cornyn or whatever, or it wasn't really usually Senator Cornyn. It would be like an Amy Klobuchar kind of thing because it was usually Democrats. Or they work for CNN or they work for these different DC connected agencies, working for the EPA, working for some government agency, and that they have some sort of issue with J6 because of their personal government connection, and this is their hometown. So what he's saying, there is logic behind that in saying that putting this guy as the chief of the district attorney's office in this town feels wrong. If you want to take that position because of this nexus between DC and the issue of J6, that is fine. That is totally, there's logic behind that. But once you take that position and you recognize that DC was separate and apart from the rest of the country with respect to its connection to J6, once you come to that recognition, you have to recognize that prosecuting these defendants in front of that same DC audience who you're admitting was so affected was such an abuse of power, abuse of discretion, and guaranteed to strip them of their right to a fair trial. That these very people you're complaining never should have been pardoned, never should have been released. They never got a fair trial. That's what this guy just admitted. Now, we all felt that way intuitively, but if you want to take a position that they can be completely isolated and removed from it, in that case, you can put Ed Martin in charge here. Because why would it make a difference? Why would it make a difference if he's the U.S. Attorney for D.C. or for Denver? It shouldn't matter, for Colorado. Why would that matter? It wouldn't matter because you say there's no special tie between D.C. and J6. But you cannot, in one breath, tell me that you cannot abide by putting him in charge of DC because it's special here. Look, we have a real tie here to J6. You can't tell me that, and then at the same time pretend that those people should not have been pardoned because they genuinely got a fair trial. 200 to 300. This clown is sitting here saying 200 to 300 people should still be rotting in a jail for God knows how long. For 200 to 300. This is what this lunatic said. This guy needs to be primaried so hard. He needs to be embarrassed. He needs to be Liz Cheney'd in ways that are just humiliating to him. The audacity of this guy here to stand behind those J6 convictions as if that is the voice of God and the people have spoken in a fair trial, and then in the same moment, in the same breath, tell me that Ed Martin can't preside over here because I'm not here. He's too closely associated with J6. He can't be here. You cannot have both those positions. That is hypocrisy in the ultimate sense, because on the one hand, you're saying that DC has the special nexus to J6, and the next breath, you're telling me that those trials that those poor 1,500 souls got by having to be prosecuted and facing a jury of people who were out for blood and had no opportunity, it's like basically going into like the cousins of some murder victim and saying, this is the guy the police think did it. You're going to sit here as the jury. It's asinine. Everything about those trials was asinine. And for this clown, this jackass to get up here and start saying, oh, no. How, I can't allow him to come here is an admission, whether he recognizes it or not, that every one of those J6 trials that were conducted in DC, which was all of them, were completely twisted, unfair, and unconstitutional. And then you want to stand up and say, like, oh, wow, none of them should be imparted. Every one of them should be imparted 10 seconds after it happened, because none of those convictions were constitutional by your own stupid logic. Idiots. This guy has got to go. And just to be clear, because I know YouTube sometimes gets very confused, I mean politically. Politically, he needs to be embarrassed, humiliated. Standing up here saying, I'm going to rather have Judge Boasberg pick someone to fill in for a few weeks rather than confirming him. You should be embarrassed. This is the same guy who stood up and got Hegseth's sister-in-law. This same clown right here got Hegseth's sister-in-law to write a letter to the Senate as to why it is that Hegseth she felt was inappropriate choice to head the DOD. This guy, he has, when is his term? Oh, jeepers. It doesn't expire until 2027. Wait. Oh, that's next. That's in 2 years. Oh, that's good. Oh, we're good. We're good. Awesome. 2027. You can find anyone. I'm reading this right, yeah? Last two terms run from the beginning of 2021. And they expire in 2027, which means his election's in 2026. We need to get rid of this guy so hard. Thom Tillis. Useless. Awful. I'll tell you right now, on this whole list right here, the only one I like at all is Mark Wayne Mullen. Tom Cotton's okay. I'll find a way to get rid of Susan Collins also. The only one I really have any use for at all in this list is Mark Wayne Mullen. Mark Wayne Mullen's good. I like him. Oklahoma. And Tom Cotton. Let me catch up. After the drop of case, could Epstein request the destruction of evidence not used in case? Just like you can have DNA and fingerprints removed after case dismissed. He's dead. What does that mean? You mean in 2007? I think they put together a second whole case on him in 2017 or whenever he got killed. In 19. Good to see you, Andrew. Pam Bondi should put in Matt Gaetz for U.S. Attorney for D.C. She can and would signal to not stand in the way. It's not going to happen. Grok is officially deep state. Ask Grok about sources and if they have bias. I tried getting the grass theory to Turtle Boy. Sent him a $5 cash app. Maybe I'll get I'll get to Reed's team. Hope so. I tried reaching out to Alan. The grass theory, and those of you who missed today, the trial today, is a theory I came up with today, which is what I think is the best forensic evidence for Karen Reed. The best forensic evidence. They've had numerous people come out and testify that when they came out at 2 o'clock in the morning and somehow didn't see him there on the lawn, that the snow on the grass was like a dusting at that point. Then they had a meteorologist come in today and said that as of midnight on the night in question that John O'Keefe died, there was up to 0.2 of an inch of snow. And that between midnight and 1 a.m., the time during which he was purportedly hit by Karen Reed's car and laid there dying, if he didn't die immediately, that during that period, there was 0.3 inches of snow. Meaning that when he was laying on that grass, there was less, because it was before 1 o'clock in the morning, there was less than a half inch of snow. Less than a half inch of snow for his body to lay on, his warm body to lay on. And then the snow kept coming. Another 0.3 of an inch, another 0.3 of an inch, then like another half an inch or to an inch. And then it started coming in like, every hour, another inch or so. I don't remember the exact numbers, but basically they calculated that when he was found at the time that Karen Reed and Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts found him, at that point in the storm, 3.9 inches of snow had fell in that area. What that means is that when he fell there, because 0.2 of an inch is nothing. It is nothing. You can kick that snow away. Trust me, I grew up my whole life in the Northeast. You can kick that away. You fall on that, you won't see it. It won't be there anymore. What that means is, the green grass theory that I came up with is, when they picked him up, whatever parts his body was leaning on, his shoulder, his arm, his hip, his knee, if he's laying on his side, if he's laying on his back, then basically underneath his entire back and head and butt, you should see nothing but green grass. If in fact he fell on that lawn sometime between 12:30 and 1 a.m. There should be a nice patch of green grass that snowed on top of him, because he's now acting from the time he's laying there until he's found like a tarp. In the same way, if you had a tarp on the grass and then you have 3 inches, 4 inches of snow that falls on, you lift the tarp up, there's nothing underneath it. Same way if you have a car sitting there, there's nothing directly underneath the car. He's a tarp for the grass, which means that when they picked him up, there should have been green grass. But that's not what they found. What they found there was bloody snow. They found that they had to leaf blow and try and clean away the snow and clean away the snow and clean away the snow. That's not possible if he fell there. The snow is what protects, is what tells us the truth. Snow doesn't lie. The snow is what tells us the truth. That if there was snow there, that means his body got there after there was a sufficient accumulation of snow that his own body heat is not melting it. That's what that means. Whatever body heat he had when he's there, assuming he wasn't killed somewhere else and brought there after his body was cold. But that's what that has to mean. So the fact that there is no green grass is forensic evidence that Karen Reed did not run him over. I don't care if she's screaming, I hit him, I hit him. Frankly, I think she's been gaslit into that by that point. She knows she didn't see him go inside. He's sitting there laying on the side of the road, right near where she dropped him off. And Jen McCabe is telling her, well, he never came inside. So she thinks if he never came inside, I must have hit him. And she's freaked out that she hit him. If she said it. If she said it. That's my green grass theory. Right there. And I'm surprised that this was something that this detective work that I came up with, like Sherlock Holmes, has not been raised by the defense yet. Because to me, this seems to be proof positive that she didn't kill him. If she killed him, there'd be green grass wherever his body was laying. The snow tells the story. And if he's laying there on a bed of snow, that means he fell there later than when he was dropped off. It's really very simple. I'm surprised I'm the first one to think of this. I'm like, how does everyone not realize this? Have any of you been in the snow? Ruth Ginsburg was appointed to the Supreme Court, but was a lawyer for the Planned Parenthood. Was she abortionist or an advocate? Yeah, apparently. Tillis is sus. He and his brother had the same name as their father. 3 Thom Tillis in one house. No, not weird at all. Not weird at all. As North Carolina, I would like to apologize for Tom. I didn't vote for him. We're not faulting you, Squeezgar. I'm not faulting you at all. But please help primary him, even if you have to run yourself, Squeezgar. Even if you have to run yourself. Save the nation. We look to you, Squeezgar. We look to you. Speaking of where we're looking, I had not been looking. I looked in the ghetto a long time ago. I haven't looked in there in a while. Zellian told me a long time ago, thanking me for covering Karen Reed. I'm glad to see I'm proving right that they're in a hanky-panky cult. I don't know that they're in a hanky-panky cult. That was speculation, which Nick threw out there. But, yeah. TX47. As far as talking about Thom Tillis, rules for me, but not for me. Wait. These senators, the audacity of them. Disaster. Utter walking disaster. I want to share with you, because I'm feeling a little bummed right now. I want to share with you the most heartwarming story I've heard this week. A 90-second story that's going to make you feel good. It's going to make you feel good. And I like the fact that we never see this kid's face.
When an elementary school student was bullied over the shirt he made for College Colors Day, people stepped up to show love in a huge way. When his teacher announced they were having a College Colors Day, he told her he really wanted to wear a University of Tennessee shirt, but didn't have one. So she told him he could wear an orange shirt to show his spirit. Every day leading up to it, he told her he had an orange shirt he was going to wear. When the day finally arrived, he was so excited to show her the shirt. He had taken it a step further and made his own University of Tennessee logo and pinned it on his shirt. After lunch, he went back to his desk, put his head down, and was crying. Some girls at the lunch table next to his were making fun of him for the logo he had created. His teacher posted this story to Facebook and said that she was going to get him a University of Tennessee shirt and wanted to see if anyone had connections to the university to make it a little more special for him. Then, the internet did what the internet does, and the post went viral among Tennessee fans. Letters and packages started pouring in from the University of Tennessee fans, and the university even sent a box of goodies. Then the university took it even a step further and turned his design into an official University of Tennessee shirt, with a portion of proceeds from every shirt sold being donated to an anti-bullying foundation. The demand for the shirt,
that shirt
was so high that it...
Look at that shirt. That shirt's so cool. That shirt happens to be really freaking cool.
crashed the website. Around 115,000 shirts were sold, and over $950,000 donated to stomp out bullying. When the young man who made the original shirt reaches college, he has a full ride scholarship waiting for him at the University of Tennessee.
That's very cool. That's very, very cool. Great story. Yep. Well, I don't think he will, because Ladybugs is a reference to Lindsey Graham here. I know my senators. Yeah. The reason you're not going to see it happen next, you might be wrong in this call, is because he's also on this list. So, yeah, we're gonna lose Mitch McConnell, and he'll be replaced with someone far better. just because it'll be a breeding human, and who's not yet infused with DC, hopefully. Joni Ernst, we can get a nice upgrade there too, potentially. John Cornyn, we can use a good upgrade. All these people. Thom Tillis. So, yeah, I don't think he's turning. I don't think he's turning so fast. Maybe we'll get rid of John Ossoff too. That could happen. That could happen. I'll do my best working against Cory Booker. Okay? I'll do my best. Should I run for Senate? Should I run for Senate against Cory Booker? I don't know that Lady Lawgic wants me to commit 6 more years to this state. So she'll be like, no, we're not staying in Jersey. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Get rid of Thom Tillis. All right. I wanted to share with you. So I like that story a lot. That story just made me feel nice. It was only while I was rewatching it with you guys that I realized its story is actually a few years back. It's actually like 5 years old. But for me, it was new. I didn't know what happened in 2019 until I saw the date on that Facebook post, and I was like, oh. Still a good story. Still a nice story. All right. This is what I wanted to go to next. This made me laugh. And I'm not sure what this show is. That this guy's source material from. This is a video that was created by Josiah Rises. I don't know if any of you follow him. He has 470,000 followers, and he shares stuff like this. Why is this not working? That took a while.
Easily one of the most ridiculous.
Yeah, it's loud.
Actors working in Hollywood today, and what he just said about Trump is so insane, so ludicrous that he received instant backlash for the insanity of what he said and what we're going to be checking out in this video today. And just look at him in this video here. It's very obvious that he, like Mark Hamill, like John Leguizamo, like so many of these different celebrities in Hollywood, are aging rapidly, like super duper fast, and he is in a steady and swift decline, just like others who are so ridiculously obsessed with Trump that now it is just deteriorating them. It's absolutely crazy. So comic actor Sean Penn calls Trump a spouse murderer, and then he gets ridiculous. And if that's not ridiculous enough, what he says after that is even more insane. Let's check this out because the backlash is insane. We're gonna get into that after this video. Let's see what Sean Penn has to say in this absolutely insane video.
But before Bukele gets to that point where he's dealing with another leader, we should consider worst case scenarios. And I do think it's a reasonable theory that Donald Trump is
reasonable theory he's about to give us now.
Not unlike the spouse of someone who leaves him perhaps for another, who then murders their former partner because if they can't have her, nobody can. And I think Donald Trump in his solipsism may have that relationship with the world, and that this destruction is in part a power play and also a literal intention of his final out.
You think he'll try to stay on?
This is, where do I find the Jim Acosta show? I need to find me the Jim Acosta show. This is what I need to watch a lot more of. The Jim Acosta, so I can get deep insights from the likes of Sean Penn and Eric Swalwell. I need me more of the Jim Acosta show.
I think he might try to destroy the world before he ages out of life.
He's going to try to destroy the world before he ages out of life. Ages, whatever that means. Whatever ages out of life means. You mean die of old age? Is that what you're trying to? What are you trying to say? I like how Jim Acosta. Yeah, that sounds like the Trump I know.
In the history of dictators.
Here's Eric Swalwell to come and give us his insight, his intuitive perspectives.
Jim, I just in the history of dictators or those who aspire to be dictators.
Can you name someone else who aspired to be a dictator? I want to know one person. Tell me one person. And I'm not even saying this facetiously. Can any of you, I defy any of you to name someone who aspired to be a dictator. Chavez, you think? That's not bad. That's not bad. Someone who aspires to be a dictator. Because I think he recognizes how stupid it is to call Trump a dictator. So that's why he's labeling him aspired to be a dictator. Oh, you see? This is it. Oh, that's not bad, Trudeau. Castro was a dictator. Trudeau's a pretty good answer. Oh, that's this one I like a lot. Aspires to be, this one I like a lot.
There's never a succession plan, right? There's
There's
never
never a succession plan. Really? Really? Is that most dictators I think have sons. So there is a succession plan. What the hell are you talking about, doofus?
What worries me is if he doesn't believe there's somebody who can protect him, that you will see him ratchet up, what he's willing to do to the country to protect himself.
Oh, it's Eric Swallowwell, the guy who farted on TV. That's pretty great. Dude, this is just insane. Like, they're talking about absolute ludicrous nonsense.
Those who
I mean, that's just par for the course for these Democrats, where they're like, oh, he is the worst dictator of all time, and he is going to take over the world.
I think he might try to destroy the world before he ages out of life.
He might try to destroy the world before he ages out of life. That is what Sean Penn is saying about Trump. These people are insane. He might.
Yes. Anyway, you can watch the rest of Josiah Rice's take on your own time. I really share this with you because I'm like, someone tell me how I can watch the Jim Acosta show. I need to find more of this. I need more of this. I need more of this in my life. I don't know. I don't know. I did want to share with you last story that I'm covering with you guys. Jim Acosta challenge to locals has only 65. Is that, do I have to sign up to his locals to get his locals? Is that what I have to do? I have to sign up to his locals? Let me see if I can follow Jim Acosta. Oh, I am following him. I just never see him. I can watch him on X. Oh, awesome. Awesome. This is great bathroom listening. This is perfect. He's here on X. Look at this. He's here on X.
Told Trump Canada is not for sale and never will be. Trump responded, quote, "Time will tell. It's only time, but I say never." Let's bring in our first guest today, Connecticut Democratic Senator Chris Murphy.
That is what he said. In fact, that's where we're going to next. His meeting today with Carney was great. It's here somewhere, I'm telling you. Was it? So, where was it? Maybe it was actually the one I was. Same one. It was the same one. Vigilant Fox was sharing this out here. Watching the art of deal play out in real time. Vigilant Fox. It's a great follow. Trump pitched annexing Canada. Carney campaigned against him. When the cameras roll inside the Oval Office, something changed. Trump played the long game, and Carney might have unknowingly walked straight into Trump's trap. Let's roll it. Trump began the meeting by congratulating Carney on his election victory. and offering warm praise.
Thank you for your hospitality and above all for
This is the guy who campaigned on how he's never going to kowtow to Trump.
well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat actually for the big announcement. But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president. Focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American
Transformational president.
worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected
securing the world
with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security.
You probably don't know much about Carney. You probably don't know much about him. You probably don't know very much about Carney unless you're from Canada. So it pays to actually see a little bit of this guy campaigning to really appreciate it. Check out this compilation. This is great.
I don't think we can change Donald Trump. I don't think so. Not at this stage.
Get you to lift tariffs on Canada.
No,
Why not?
just the way it is.
And a person who draws his inspiration from President Trump, like Pierre Poilievre, will kneel down before him.
You're a trans.
Paul Poilievre, who was running against him, he'll kneel down to Trump.
Transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl, and other opioids, and securing the world.
Before he stands up to him. He's in sync with President Trump.
I thought you were excellent, and I think we have a lot of things in common.
Pierre Poilievre.
He's in sync. Pierre Poilievre is in sync with Trump. Trump is saying, I think we have a lot of things in common, you and me, Carney.
Is also choosing to be willfully blind to the many and growing threats that face our country.
We don't really want cars from Canada. And we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars.
We're going to crush Canada's car industry. That's what he says to the prime minister. We're crushing your car industry.
And we don't want steel from Canada because we're...
Oh yeah, we're also done with your stupid steel industry. We don't need your stinking steel. That's why we invented Pittsburgh. That's the only reason we have Pittsburgh. Why do you think we would have Pittsburgh if not for the fact that we don't want Canadian steel? Okay? It's the one thing we get from them. It's the only reason why we have Pittsburgh. So no, keep your stupid steel, Canucks.
Making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things.
We're done with Canadian aluminum too. In case you think I just meant steel, let me clarify. In front of this Yutz's face right here, we're not taking their aluminum either. We don't want their cars. We're going to keep the tariffs. We don't want their stinking cars. We don't want their stinking steel. We don't want their stinking aluminum. Okay? So, no, none of that's changing. I'm going to sit here and we'll be all friendly with each other, but that's not changing.
The big companies are producing, by and large, are not products that we are consuming. There's some element of that, but by and large, a steel company, how much steel are you using these days, Todd? I mean, not as much we used. So anyway,
Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean,
and Governor Carney over here understands the score much better than Trudeau understood it.
I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said, that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year.
It's like, that whole funding thing where we're giving you money, We're tired of that too. No more of this 200 billion crap.
Protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing.
That's our own self-protection, because we understand how the globe works. And unfortunately, the way things sort of work out is if we're not protecting Canada, we're kind of exposed ourselves, unless we want to have a really long border that's pretty impenetrable. That's a really freaking long border. That's like a 3,000-mile long border. That's a bit much. Instead, we'll just protect you guys also. You're welcome.
But we always will. But, it's not fair.
So that's Prime Minister Carney, who campaigned on standing up to Trump. Oh my God. So we didn't get to hear in there the 51st state stuff. So let's hear them talking about the 51st state.
Yeah. No. Well, I still believe that, but yeah. No. Well, I still believe that, but takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person. But when I looked at that beauty, I said, that's the way it was meant to be. But, I do feel it's much better for Canada.
Oh my God, Carney looks like his bile is rising up. He just swallowed the bile in his throat. Oh, look at that face he just made. Look at that. Look at him do that face.
I do feel it's much better for Canada.
Oh, poor Carney.
But we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes.
He's still going on about the 51st state thing. He's still doing it. Look at his face. He's still talking about the 51st state.
Free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway, because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage, because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
So kind of struggle with that a little bit. So here's his response. Here's Carney's response to that. This is so good.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So that settles it right there. I appreciate that you're interested in acquiring us, but some places are never for sale. You might think that's the end of the conversation. Well, some places are never for sale. Oh, well, we'll have to find somewhere else to go shopping. Maybe we'll go to Greenland. I don't know. That's where Trump could have gone. Is that where you think Trump went? Oh, well, if it's not for sale, I understand. Some places are not for sale. We'll just let it go. That's what Carney's like. He's like, let's put an end to this. Okay. We're not for sale. Okay. Let's put an end to it. So can we move on? Because we're putting an end to that. And Trump is like, I'm not ready to be done with this.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership.
Look at Trump's face when he said ever.
Together. We have done that in the past. And part of that, as the
I'll let you finish talking,
is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership. And I'll say this as well, that the president has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in that will be part of it.
That's a place. Okay. So now that you got your little piece out there saying how no. You're not just going to take us over. You're not just going to. But we're not going to be like, let's cool it with the whole 51st state thing. Trump is like,
when you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say,
time? Wait, what does that mean, time? What does he mean, time? Does he mean like 10 minutes from now he thinks we're going to be for sale? What does that mean?
never say never. I've had many, many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, Canada loves us and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time, we'll see what happens.
It's not a discussion that Carney's ready for today. That's what he just told you when he said never. But a lot of people say never. They don't really mean never. Nothing is never. Nothing is never. May not be in the next week or two, but nothing is never. We'll talk in a few months. We'll see how you're feeling at that point. When you no longer have a car industry, a steel industry, or an aluminum industry. Let's see how you're feeling then. Wouldn't you like to stop paying tariffs? Wouldn't that be better for you? Oh my God. Oh my God. And here's Trump closing out on his feeling about the relationship between U.S. and Canada.
For what pact?
USMCA.
No, it's fine. It's there. It's good. We use it for certain things. It's there. We have the USMCA is a good deal for everybody. I won't say this about Mark, but I didn't like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that worked for. She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person. And she really hurt that deal very badly because she tried to take advantage of the deal and she didn't get away with it. You know what I'm talking about. But so
he's like, I can't say out loud.
We had a bad relationship having to do with the fact that we disagreed with the way they viewed the deal, and we ended it. We ended that relationship pretty much. The USMCA is great for all countries. It's good for all countries. We do have a negotiation coming up over the next year or so to adjust it or terminate it.
Adjust it or terminate it. We might terminate it. Yeah, we gotta figure out. We'll see. We'll see. Are you still saying never? We're deciding a year from now whether to terminate that deal. The look on Carney's face about this whole thing, he looks like he's just swallowing his own vomit. It's a beautiful thing to see. I love the way Trump deals with international affairs. He is a master. A master. And for those of you who think otherwise, just ask yourself this. Would you rather be the one who he's representing, or would you rather be your representative be Carney and someone else talking to Carney the way Trump is? Ask yourself, which one would you rather be, as your leader? Which one? God, I'm so glad we elected him back. Thank God he's back. Been watching yours and Torboy stream simultaneously. My comments about your theory came up at the very end was basically skipped over. I brought up in the middle of trial, and then I brought up again with Nick to get his thoughts on it. And I even wrote Alan Jackson on it. Did I hear back from him? I don't know if I heard back from him. I'm not seeing any emails from him, so I'm assuming that his firm didn't bother responding. Tyler's a member for 1 month. There we go. He seemed to have absolutely no clue who you are. I sent a message on local steel manning the theory, though. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Post-COVID, Canadian military personnel at lowest level ever. Viva had people on the channel claiming sub 20,000 active military. What do they need a military for? Seriously. You think we would let anyone invade Canada? We're not letting anyone invade Canada. We're not. We're not. It does seem kind of weird that we have Alaska separated there. At least you could let us connect, make us contiguous, find some way, give up British Columbia, a little piece of British Columbia there. One big, although the truth is, I wouldn't want them to join states with Washington. That's for sure. That would be bad. That would be bad. All right. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., Karen Reed is back. She is. You can't tell me otherwise. And I will be back covering it. Let me do a quick check in the ghetto, make sure I didn't miss anything. Hunter Brooks says, Joe, this is what I've been thinking the last couple of days. You and I both dealt with nor'easters in North Jersey. How would a guy with a temperature of 98.6 decreasing not melt that little snow? Poor $1. I said that. That's my green grass theory. You don't even have to have heat. If you would drop like a heavy 200-pound weight on it, it just sort of like becomes like water. It just sort of crushes it into water. That's what I'm saying. When he landed on it, there was nothing left of the snow. If he laid down on it and then got up, it would be gone. You wouldn't see snow where he laid down when there's that little snow. Or very, very little snow. And it would melt pretty quickly. Joe, I have a funny story for you that will make you laugh. This is from Uzellian. What do you got for me? That page does not exist or cannot be found. Sorry, that page isn't working, brother. I would have checked it out. But yeah, it's not working. Click it, you'll see it doesn't work. I'll give you like another 20 seconds to put it up. I'll give you that. Allegan says we don't want BC, we want Alberta and the Northern Territories to make the connection to Alaska. Make a little circle around those West Coast Wokies. The West Coast Wokies of Canada. We want Alberta, because that's where the oil is, and that's where they're based. Saskatchewan, Manitoba. We'll take the prairie states. We'll take the prairie provinces. Yeah. I'm assuming there's oil there. I mean, they named one of their hockey teams Oilers, so I assume that Edmonton has oil in the region. Maybe some natural gases. I don't know. Let me see if Uzellian got that link to work. There it is. Let's see if this works. All right, we'll try to pull this up real quick. I got an ad. What am I doing with an ad?
This 70,000.
Let's do it like this. And we'll do it like this.
Come back in. Well, imagine opening your front door to find this 70,000 dum-dum lollipops.
Right. Well, that's just exactly what a Lexington mom found on her front porch. The order was placed by her son. Now, think about this. If it takes 5 minutes to eat a dum-dum, how long it would take to eat 70,000 of them? The answer after photojournalist Darnell Crenshaw introduces us to the mom stuck with all those suckers.
A massive dum-dum drop at Holly LaFavor's front door via Amazon. 70,000 suckers on the porch. LaFavor says her son made the purchase on her Amazon app. She says she tried to stop the order before it came to her house, but it was too late. And then she checked her bank account.
I just panicked. And then when I saw what the number was, I just about fainted.
She's on the hook for more than $4,000. The order was so large, she's had to put some of it in her garage.
This was
That's pretty cute. I don't know what happened to the rest of this. That's a cute story. But now we're getting into the circle. So we're going to have to stop with that.
just a fluke thing that happened.
LaFavor says her 8-year-old son, Liam, got her phone and made the purchase of 30 cases of suckers. Liam has developmental delays and was born with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. She says the condition affects his decision making.
He told me that he wanted to have a carnival, and he was ordering the dum-dums as prizes for his carnival. So, you know, again, he was being friendly. He was being kind to his friends.
To make matters worse, she says 8 of the 30 cases were unaccounted for. She had to go to the post office to rectify the situation.
The packages that were, the 8 that are missing were actually scanned in here as being rejected.
LaFavor says those 8 cases were returned to sender, and she hopes she can at least get that portion of her money back.
This is Holly LaFavors. How are you?
She says Amazon delivered the other 22 cases. LaFavors had trouble getting in contact with Amazon for a refund, but we were able to help her make a connection.
I was told that you might be able to assist me with the issue that I'm having with Amazon.
Amazon took her information and said they'd look into her claim.
Oh, I'm so appreciative of the help.
For now, she has cases of suckers she doesn't want, but her favorite flavor, blue raspberry, is inside. Any thoughts on taking just one?
No. I know how expensive that box is, and I am not tempted to crack it open.
She was a good sport for that story today in a WKYT.
All right. All right. You see, I don't even know what. Cute kid. I like you, Azalea. I do. I really do. I can only do one heartwarming story a night, like maximum. I really try to do like one a month, and I did one like an hour ago. So yeah. Otherwise, people start thinking I'm a nice guy. Stuff. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. All right, tomorrow 9 a.m. Karen Reed. We resume the trial. The trial that everyone the trial you can't get enough of. I know you can't until I'm covering Diddy next week, and then you won't be able to get enough of that trial. Or so the hope is. That is what the hope is. All right. Lab meat, they, them. Not for you. Not for you. Plane coming down fast, relatively fast. Wheels are locked and loaded. So should your trays be in upright position. Do not eat the bugs. 9 a.m. tomorrow, Karen Reed. Be there. Godspeed.